Okay, I believe we can at least spend some time on introduction and then start. Okay, I'd like to find out is there anyone here, since YouTube traditionally shows only a few people. Meanwhile, I know from previous translations that it might be a bit more. So could everyone who is watching now write something in the chat, and in particular I'm interested in where you are and what you expect to get from this webinar. Meanwhile, I will shortly introduce what I will explain today, and like the reason why I would like to why I made this webinar, what's the reason for it, and what I would like to share and to explain you. And it would be ideal, I would be really fascinated and happy if at the end of the day today you will be able to explain, like, yes, I know at least what is programming, I know what I need to do to get a software developer, and I know that I know something that I was not aware before. So first of all, let me introduce. My name is Alex Ryzhkov. I live and work in Toronto. I am a full stack Java developer. Now I'm working in financial sphere. Before I was working in one of the biggest Ukrainian outsourcing companies. And why my case might be interesting for you, and what I would like to share with you basically is my experience of becoming a software developer. Since traditionally for all the people it's I would say it's a absolute tradition that software developers as well as engineers are people who graduated from university. However, with the flow of time, more and more companies just ignore this fact and do not require any formal education for this. I don't know whether you track the news in GoToIT page. But there are a lot of companies, big companies like Google, IBM, Amazon, if I'm not mistaken, and Facebook and Apple for sure. They already canceled the requirement for the candidates for their position to have a formal education in computer science. What it means for us, it means that we are really we as people who are considering switching to IT have a really good chances to end up working in such a big companies as Google and Facebook. Like around 4 or 5 years ago, I decided that I should do the same, and basically that was the moment when my journey to the software developer started. Before, I used to work as a consultant in public relations agency, and I was not really fascinated about the career perspectives there and what I can do and what I can reach and what I daily do. So I decided to go to IT to become a software developer. Back that time, I had a few options. The same as today, there are several ways to become somehow related to the software developer, the development. The first one is to become a manual QA specialist. So literally, it's a person who knows something about methodology, but in general, he is a specialist in testing or breaking some applications, websites. Uh, I would say that this is one of the lowest specialities, one of the less demanding specialities in IT, since literally to do this job you need nothing but to know very absolute basics of software development, and moreover you literally don't need to write anything, so you are not a programmer. You during the whole period of your of work of manual QA specialist, this person might not need, even not to have to need to write any line of code on his own. This is considered to be the easiest and the fastest way to go to IT. Nevertheless, the perspectives of this specialty, of this experience, is quite limited. Another significant but significantly different, but the concept is the same specialty, is QA automation specialist. What does this person do? He literally writes some programs that tests another programs. So for instance, instead of just clicking on the website or checking out whether all the forms are working correctly and inputs validates all the input text that was entered. This specialist writes a special program that do that instead of them. This job is much more in demand now and everywhere and every time. It is really very prospective in terms of the way you can reach and you can get to the market. However, it is also limited. So when I was deciding whether to how should I become a software developer, or in general what position I might get in the future, I considered these two positions, and the last one is software developer. I decided Java. Hopefully, Java. The decision to become a Java developer was absolutely correct and successful, since from what I saw next, software developer has a much bigger salary. B, the demand on software developers are much higher. C, software developers has much less intense work and schedules in comparison to customer support, for instance, or QA specialists. And what is more, software developer has much wider, much brighter career perspectives. I mean, your career path might lead you to become a senior software developer, engineer, software engineer, architect, or team lead. You can go become a you can get a managerial position. Meanwhile, the QA specialist has a very limited range, I would say, since literally all of my friends who work in QA, in quality assurance, they absolutely freely admit that there is no way to get higher than test manager. And test manager is basically a person who is in charge of testing the product, and he leads the team of a few QA specialists. So after this decision, the most interesting part came. So it's obviously not enough to become a software developer. you need to get a lot of information, you need to read a lot of information, you need to work a lot and dedicate a lot of time to it. So I entered some computer classes in Ukraine, in Kiev. Uh, During half a year, literally it was about 6 months, uh, I was studying there hardly. Nevertheless, it was a part-time school, so I visited it after working hours, and on weekends I was able to, like, I literally dedicated the whole spare time to the sphere, to IT, to coding, and these 6 months were really tough. Why it was tough? Because first of all, if you don't have anything to do with software development or with IT, informational technologies in general, it definitely this switch definitely requires a lot of efforts from your side. You need to start thinking as a software developer. You need to start thinking as a computer scientist. This is, by the way, a good book. A friend of mine advised me. I believe it might be in handy to anyone. I will write it down now in chat. How to think as a computer scientist. Uh, so this book is used on computer science faculties in Canada, and this is the entry level book, I would say, like the entry level in general. It covers some very basic aspects of software development, but obviously, without, even if you read 5 books, it will not guarantee that you will be able to find a good job. You will be able to succeed in your process of switching. And during these 6 months, basically, it was a sort of, boot camp, drill camp, since due to the amount of time I dedicated to it, it was really tough. It was really tough since I had to learn from scratch. And moreover, the whole software development is built around the process of self-learning and constant search of information. So literally, when you are a software developer, you have nothing to do but to search, but to Google. Your best friend become Google. And yes, it's true that software developers don't speak much. It's absolutely true. And the reason for this is that software developers have the best friend, and the best friend of them are, okay, two best friends. The first one is keyboard, and the second best friend is Google. Since every now and then, absolutely every moment of time, software developer is typing something, is searching something, is reading something, and it's constantly endless process. It's infinity. Uh, so this was a really tough part, since, as I already mentioned, it's really difficult to find out, to understand how everything works, to deal with it. And what I missed a lot was a mentor, since yes, there was a tutor who taught us. Basically, it was not even a teacher, it was just a person who showed us some presentations and gave us some short feedback regarding what we do and how we should do it. To be honest, I would say that it's enough. Like, literally, you can learn programming without any third-party help. You can just switch. You can go anywhere. You can you can read a lot of books. You can browse the whole Google search results page, and it will make you software developer. The problem and the only difference is the time, since as soon as you get a mentor or at least tutor, you're able to get the same amount of information much faster. Moreover, tutor also helps you to understand how everything works. Not only the particular part, the small piece of some mechanism. For instance, if we look at a car, just absolutely ordinary example. Uh, Good software developer, I would say even engineer or software developer of senior or maybe in the best case middle seniority, he needs to understand how everything works. So it's not only about the wheel, like small part of the car, how wheel is rolling or how engine does work. He needs to understand everything, how the steering is done, how the combustion works, how the doors are opened and closed, and why it is done this way. And I would say that I missed a lot this part of explanation and support, so mentoring part when I was learning Java. So if you have any chance to ask someone to shadow you, to help you, to explain you, it will be absolutely beneficial. But definitely to succeed in it, you need to uh, dedicate a lot of time. Once again, I already mentioned it, and the problem is that people sometimes don't estimate correctly how much time they do need to learn something new. The proportion is traditional. I don't know, maybe you have already heard the concept of, if I'm not mistaken, it's 10,000 hours. So the idea of this concept is that you need, like, a person needs to spend 10,000 hours of working in some sphere to become a professional in it. You can count 10,000 hours, it's really a lot. And especially when you need to get something new, to learn something new, you need to learn as much as possible. You literally need to dive into the whole sphere. You need to do it, you need to search for it, you need to be eager to do it. Otherwise, you will fail. And what is really good about software development is that as opposed to other spheres, you can do everything you need to get the first job or to get a promotion, to get a better job, to get bigger salary or to join Google or Facebook. You can do it at home, literally with your laptop. So you don't need to build space, rocket ship, you don't need to manufacture car and steal details to prove that you were right and spend a lot of money on it. You can do everything absolutely free of charge, obviously, except electricity. You don't need to pay for anything else. Um, that's why when we are talking about time, just make sure that you have a lot of time. By a lot of time, I mean that, for instance, to write the simplest program, it's not enough just to follow some tutorial. Why it is not enough? Just because uh, when you will be asked on the interview how does it work, why it works in this way, I tend to believe that person who doesn't understand the nature of how the process works will fail the interview, and unfortunately it will be a waste of time for you it will not be a waste of time if you make the corresponding decisions, and will be able to understand, to make to write down all the questions that you had and to figure out the answers for them for the later interview. But unfortunately for the person who will be interviewing you, for interviewer, it will be a waste of time, and definitely it will not have a good effect, a positive effect on your on how company considers you and whether company really decides that it wants to work with you. So that's why pay as much attention as you can, but always try to dig deeper, a bit deeper. If you don't know where you need to dig, just make sure that you have a mentor, or just ask in Google, in forums on Stack Overflow. It's a perfect online community where people keep on asking everything about software development. And as far as I see, it's not only about software development now. You can you can get answers for absolutely different topics there. Uh, so that's why just try to make sure that you have some people who are knowledgeable and who are eager to help you, and in this case you will be able to make this, to follow the whole path, uh, to become a software developer faster and easier with less efforts. Unfortunately, I didn't have this sort of mentor. That's why I had to do everything on my own, and it resulted in the fact that I stuck on some point, and this point was when so after I graduated from these courses, I started searching for work. I already had my pet project, so side project that was dedicated to the restaurant. So like it's systems that managed the work of the restaurant with delivery, with cooking stuff, with cookers, with waiters, and so on, with managers and report analysts. Uh, so I thought that I will be able to get the job very fast. This belief was enforced by the example of my friends who really managed to get the job fast. But to be honest, I did not estimate the factor of luck there. So what I mean by that is that there were a few of my friends who had their friends or relatives working in other companies, and even though they did not finish the course yet, they were already hired. And it was not like they were hired because of the connections, like network. They were hired because there was someone who said, like, yes, I know this person is a newbie, this person is a junior, and he does not know how everything works, but I will personally work. I will help for him. I will do everything that depends on me to make sure that this person succeeds in our company. Uh, this was another problem that I had, since I didn't have anyone in IT companies who could recommend me. That's why I stuck on this point. What I mean by stuck, it means that I was looking for another job for 5 months. Yes, it was 5 months. It was damn long. I thought that I will not find anything. Um, However, there were a few positive aspects. First of all, I had like maybe a dozen of technical interviews, and even more interviews with recruiters. Uh, why it was a positive moment? First of all, if recruiters or HR specialists of companies called me, it means that my resume, my CV was attractive enough to show them that you can call me. It was really good. Believe me, this is another aspect that you need to bear in mind when you think that you are ready, and uh, you start your job search. Make sure that your resume is really attractive. It should be fantastic, since, believe me or not, but recruiters in IT company has nothing to do with IT. They are just people who know some set of keywords that they are looking for, and that's it. Uh, Nothing else is required. You just need to make your resume pretty. You need to make sure that it's fine, it's beautiful. Everything. There is no typos. Everything is right correctly, and so on. Uh, After that, like I had really tough time when I was passing interview. The problem for that was that obviously the courses I passed, they did not give me the whole spectrum of information that I was required, and moreover, uh, labor market had some different requirements. That's why I had to learn a lot on my own. And basically, these 5 months I spent in learning, visiting resume, visiting interviews, failing it, and then coming back and writing down on the piece of paper what I passed, what I did not pass, since like literally everyone knows his weak points, and after the interview you are the best person who can answer whether you were good on it or not. So as soon as you get to the point when you are you passed you have a technical interview, make sure that you write down all the questions, all the questions that you did not know the answer for, and then work them at home. Since as soon as you will get to the second interview, believe me or not, but you will be definitely asked the same question, and that's why it's better off to be prepared and to get ready to answer it right away. Succeed and get the first position. That's why you know. Again, there is also a few more examples and rules that are that can show you the process and the problems that takes place. So the first rule is the Pareto rule. So it's 80% of time have produces 20% of result, and vice versa. 20% of time produces 80% of result. What it means? It means that you can do whatever you want, whatever you need, but only 1/5 part of your efforts of your will have the result. Enhancing your approach, enhancing the way you answer. Okay. Enhancing the way you answer, and make sure that you are able to do everything that is required to get your position. But don't give up. If you already spent even 3 months, it's more than enough for you to keep on moving. And believe me or not, but like 3 extra months will only make you smarter, make you faster, better thinker, and better problem solver. Since software development is all about problem solving. So during this process, I learned a lot of stuff, and let's switch. Let me show you some picture with a set of frameworks that are required and related to Java programming. Okay, here it is. So this is really the huge set of information, but what I would like to show you and to explain is basically what you need to do, what you need to know to get hired. First of all, it's perfect picture as for me, since it encapsulates, it shows some like basic and auxiliary stuff that you need, auxiliary frameworks that you need to know to understand. So first of all, architecture. What you need to do and to know here is some basic models like MVC, client server, multi-tier application, REST, microservices. For the most part, you just need a basic understanding of all of this stuff, since literally without working on a big project you have nothing to do. You don't have any chance to practice yourself, practice your experience here. That's why just try to read. I will share this picture after the webinar, and you can you can check it out, but make sure that you have the basic understanding of all the architecture aspects here. You can read a few pages, a few articles on Wikipedia, or on Stack Overflow or any other websites, and just be able to you understand it enough to answer any questions that interviewer will have for you. Another set of technologies is basically technologies. Here comes the most interesting part. So first of all, you need to understand Java. You see, like everything where you see the cup of coffee, it is related to Java. And like literally, don't pay too much attention to some of this stuff. First of all, this picture is there are plenty of interesting stuff, but in general, the majority, I would say, maybe 50-60% of this information is out of dated, so it's better off to have, once again, a mentor who will be able to help you to explain, like, you should learn this and don't learn this. So Java 2E, you can read about it, it might be handy, but it's not required. GPA, it's absolutely must have. Ajax, also you need to understand how it works. JSON, it's just a format of data. It's enough for you just to read something, just to write small application that will use JSON, and you will understand it on the fly. By the way, I haven't mentioned it, but when you declare yourself as a software developer, you need to work a lot and to code a lot. There is no way to become a software developer without coding. It's very difficult. It's psychological threshold that you need to pass when you start learning, and when you just think, no, I will read a few books and only afterwards I will start coding. No, start code right away. The sooner you start writing codes and the sooner you start facing some problems, the sooner you will reach the result. The sooner you will get the profound understanding of the processes. If you don't code, if you read even 5 books about each of these technologies, you will fail on interview, since software developer, programmer, is a person who has hands-on experience. This is the most important. Let's move on. So here, from web application and cloud service, what you need to know and to work here is Tomcat. It's absolutely must-have, since this is application containers that will allow you to start and to make your application work in web environment. So you can create your own website, and you can upload everything to internet and make it available for everyone. And by the way, if you are thinking about becoming a developer, and the best way to show that you are able to do something and you have required skills is to create easy, absolutely elemental, absolutely basic website that will contain some information about, like, web resume. So instead of just page with document, you can create a website where you will explain what you used, how you used it, and why you decided to use it. And believe me, it will have the best effect on the interviewer, since it will show that you know how to do it and you are doing it, you are not afraid of it. Also, Amazon Web Services, AWS, is very popular now, but it is not required on the level of junior Java developer. Next comes the databases. Databases is really vast, massive, vast array, vast volume of data that you need to know. First of all, you need to understand what is the difference between SQL and NoSQL databases. Then you need to work and you need to have a perfect skills, perfect basic skills of SQL development. So you need to know how to make basic SQL queries, select, insert, update, all the CRUD operations, all the operations related to data manipulation, so DML, DDL. You need to know it and make sure that you are able to understand and to explain how it works, since for the most part the companies are aware that there is no person who has a perfect understanding of the whole of all the processes. But even if you don't know something, don't be afraid to ask and to just to try to swap the topic into something that you know how it works. So if you are asked about group by operator, if you don't know or if you are not sure how it works, you can just explain in plain words your understanding of it. You can try to show your way of logical thinking, and it will be appreciated a lot, since companies absolutely understand that there is no person who is a perfect candidate, who is all known and came for junior position. Like definitely, it's no brainer for them. Also, what you need to know here is the Hibernate. Hibernate is an object relational mapping framework in Java, and it is widely used. It is absolutely must have to know to understand how it works and to know how to use it from the very scratch. Reporting frameworks, to be honest, I haven't seen any of one of them, but these frameworks, the bottom part of this picture, this is when it comes to really important stuff. First of all, you need to know how Spring works. Spring is a must-have stuff that is used, that is present in Java Galaxy, Java universe, and it is de facto it is used everywhere, and it is one of the standard frameworks that are used among with just plain old Java application and code. Also, it is not mentioned here, but there is Maven. Maven is also very commonly used, and it is definitely worth working with it, worth understanding how it does, how it does what it do, what it does, and what for it is used. And the rest basically are quite generic stuff that might be in handy, but in general it is not that in demand. You can always learn a bit of JavaScript, you can learn a bit of Node.js, but believe me or not, it will never play the most decisive role. The most decisive role that you have, that you can, the most decisive role for you to be hired will play the only one stuff, the way how you think. The fact is, the biggest companies like Google, Amazon, Facebook, they, during the interview or during selection of candidates, they are not looking for a person who knows the stack of technologies that is used in their system. It's fact. Indeed, they, in spite of this, they are looking for a person who is able to understand the general programmers values, like algorithms, looping, the price of each action, code style. This is what they are looking for. If you have all this stuff without even knowing the all the frameworks that were shown on the previous picture, even without this, you will be hired. Believe me or not, but you will be hired, and it's not a problem at all. That's why make sure that you spend enough time reading, talking with people who understand what is going on and who are wiser, more experienced than you in software development. Another interesting point that I would like to underline is the fact that like one of the easiest way to get new information is to go to meetups. There is a website, meetups.org. It is a website that provides you an access to, like, you can literally join any meetup that you want in any city throughout the world, so around the world. And these meetups are conducted all as a rule and as well for Java community, Java user groups, so called. If you want to get to know some people, if you want to ask to find the recruiters, you can go there and try to get in touch with them directly, explaining that yes, you are a junior Java developer, you're looking for work, and if obviously you need to have a resume printed out with you so that you can directly let these people know and let these people look throughout it, and what is the most important, you will get a very valuable advices from them. So either it will be about the style of your resume, or it will be about stack of technologies, or perhaps they will just explain you something new that you were not aware about. That's why I promote and propagate this idea. Go to meetups. It will expand your your outlook. You will be able to understand better and bigger what is going around. You will be able to compare. You will be able to like to make correct decisions. And going back to the path of the career, going back to the way how you should like prepare and get your first position. When you finally get the job offer, or at least when you know that yes, yeah, I'm completely satisfied with the way I passed the technical interview, make sure that you take some time to evaluate, to think over the job offer you have. What usually happens is that a person just gets the first job offer and he is so happy, and he does not like he is willing to accept the job offer right away. However, make sure that you come back. You can take 2 days, week for thinking it over. It's not a problem at all. And this time you can spend thinking over and perhaps passing another technical interview. It's a common practice to have 2 job offers in your hands, and afterwards try to negotiate, to haggle with companies what you literally want and what you try to do. As a rule, it works, and it results in the fact that you are able to get a higher salary. Obviously, all of us are interested in this aspect for the foremost. That's why try to use it. Try to to become a cold-minded person, and don't jump on the seventh. Don't be over excited about it. Try to use it as a factor, as a leverage to get a better understanding, better position, better conditions. And when you pass your first, when you get your first job offer and you start working, here comes the most interesting part. Since literally everything that you were working with, it was on the level of kindergarten. It was elementary school in comparison to high school. You have never worked with anything so complex and so difficult as you will work on your first working place. So just keep on learning, keep on asking people, keep on understanding what you need, what you want, and after that, believe me or not, it will be like as soon as you get the 1 year of experience, all the doors will be open for you. The demand on the software development market is huge, in particular in Java, is huge, and that's why as soon as you get 1 year of experience, you can represent yourself to recruiters as an experienced person, and you can get a better position, better salary, and you can switch jobs, searching for better conditions. That's why keep on learning. Don't give up. Don't think that yes, I have this position and that's it. I don't need anything else. Just keep on learning. Keep in education. And I would also like to say to answer the question I very often asked, whether I should apply for small companies or for big companies. There is a big difference. Both both types of employers will give you an absolutely unbelievable experience. But what you need to bear in mind is the fact that in small companies, it is very likely that you will do much more. Your sphere of your duties will be wider. You will have more of them. Yes, it will definitely have a negative effect on your work-life balance. However, it will give you a chance to learn more and to become a person who is able to prove something, to show the result faster. Um, that's why if you have a chance to join some startup, go there. I promise you that you will get much more experience that if you join just the big companies. Um, Regarding the big companies, uh, due to the nature of big companies, it is very likely that you as a junior developer will stuck there on the position of a really minor person, and no one will listen to your opinion. No one will dare your words. No one will appreciate them. And I know even examples when people joined Facebook, such a big company, but they, after a year of working there, they left it just because they felt underappreciated there. Since, like in Facebook in particular, there are plenty of smart people, and it's very difficult to prove every day that your opinion is valuable and someone should listen to you. Also, another advice regarding searching a job is based on the fact that when you are searching, when you are passing interview, when you are visiting interview, don't be concentrated exclusively on answering questions. Ask questions as well. First of all, it will prove that you are interested in the position. Secondly, it will give you a better understanding of what's going on in company. I believe you are aware that different teams, different groups of people behave differently. That's why if you join a company that has a team that is not very friendly, polite, it means that you will learn less and you will stuck on some point in your development. That's why try to scan the company for the matter, to understand whether it is a friendly one, what is the management there, since sometimes you can join the companies that will make you work over times and it will be taken for granted. So what I mean by that is the fact that you can stay for 8-9 p.m. and literally no one will pay you overtimes, and moreover people will just ignore the fact that you are spending your own time helping the company, bringing money to the company, instead of just enjoying your life for the rest of 8 hours. So just bear it in mind and always try to ask to clarify these questions. Ask as much questions as you are willing. It's absolutely normal to ask people, to show that you are concerned about anything and you have questions. Uh, not to, I believe that to avoid overloading of this webinar with information, we will go to the end, and meanwhile, if you have any questions, you can ask it in chat. It's not a problem. I will be happy to answer you, and after that we will finish. This webinar will be available on YouTube channel of GoToIT. By the way, in GoToIT, what I try to do and what my aim is to do is in GoToIT is to provide this sort of mentorship that will allow you, that will support you, that will help you in your way in becoming a software developer. That's why that's why know that you can have some support from a person who is experienced in this field, and just try to me. I will do my best to explain you like what are your paths, what are your perspectives, what is the potential career path for you, and what will be more beneficial to do. And also another question, interesting question just came up to my mind, is regarding gender equality. In Canada in particular, there is very interesting aspect. If you are a woman and you are a software developer and you're coming to an IT company, to a software company, it's very likely that you will be hired and you will be more preferable candidate for a company than a male. Why? Because there are companies who follow the instructions, follow the traditions, where they try to make sure that there is like 50% of female employees in the company, and they are spread throughout all the departments. That's why if you are a woman and you are considering moving to IT, bear in mind that it might be a bit easier for you to get the position. I believe we will end up on this point. If you have any questions, just ask on the page of webinar, and I will be glad to answer them to you. So have a good evening. Thanks for staying with me, and see you next time. Bye.